So if you think about healing anxiety like this three legs of a stool, right? A three legs of a stool that kind of stands like this. You need three things, and those three things are mindfulness, so you know how to actually respond to the thoughts, to the symptoms, to the palpitations. You need accountability to make sure you actually do it. Like, for example, a personal trainer will make sure you eat healthy and go to the gym, even if you know that you need to eat healthy and go to the gym. And the third part, which I think helps a lot of people, is you need positive reinforcement from a community. So people like you in the journey with you, so you feel less alone, and people further ahead than you, so you actually can see healing. All right, cool. Ghost, first question, and you're the number one gifter batch, so I will definitely answer your question first. Yes, sir. How do you manage when you just focus on your anxiety symptoms? Okay, so let me rephrase that. So, how do I deal with whenever all throughout the day, all I do is just think about my anxiety symptoms or focus on my anxiety symptoms, or I feel like I can only feel my anxiety symptoms, right? So the first thing I want everyone to understand that feels like this is that the reason you feel like all you can do is focus on your palpitations, dizziness, nausea, DPDR, whatever symptoms you have, is because you're in a state of what's called hypervigilance, where you're literally like on high alert for threats. And your brain sees the symptom that you feel as a threat. So whenever it sees the symptom it feels, it will laser in on it. So if I give an example, if you have like groups of deer just in a herd, right, and they spot a tiger far away, all of the deer's attention will focus on the tiger, right? Every single one of the deers will look at the tiger, even if it's far away. If it's coming at the tiger, they will they will run away, right? Just like how you want to run away from your symptoms. So you're in a state of high alert. Now, how can I actually stop focusing on my symptoms? The first step would be doing something to help you regulate in the moment. This could be as simple as a regulation tool, right? Like havening, where you just go like this and you do that like 10 times. You could do a physiological sigh, where you take two quick inhales and an exhale. And you want to do a message of safety, like, hey, am I safe right now? Just that's going to help you a little bit. It's not going to get rid of it or the anxiety symptoms or anything, because that's not the point of it, but it's going to help you come a little bit out of fight or flight. After you do that, you just want to actually notice, okay, what does this symptom actually feel like? If you see you focusing on the symptom as a problem, you will just focus more. Instead, lean into it, go towards it, run towards it. Like, where in your body do you feel it? What does it feel like? Does it change moment to moment? Actually, rewire how you process the symptom so that over time you can rewire the brain and your brain actually feels safe. Okay, next. Next question. Hello, Domi. Hello, guys. All right, Gifta. Hi, I have a question. Why do I see and feel everything and everyone weird? I can't explain it very well. So, I am. I will bet a lot of money that you probably have DPDR, right? You probably feel like you're quite detached from people. You probably feel like you're watching people in like third person, like you're watching someone on the TV. What you have is called DPDR. And that happens whenever you are in a state of chronic stress. So your brain kind of disassociates or depersonalizes or derealizes from your present experience. So that's why that's happening. And the way to get that gone is you have to A, teach your brain that you're safe. And if you show your brain that you're safe repeatedly, it will eventually go away. But the goal is to just feel safe, not get rid of it, at least initially. Domi, hello. It's like I have a problem with my eyes. Yep, definitely DPDR, because that's where you kind of see it, right? 444. Next question. Why do we feel like electric shock? So, I'm imagining you get one of those like jolts of like zaps for you, right? So, again, that's just another physical symptom of anxiety. Your nervous system has been in fight or flight, it's in chronic stress, all that adrenaline, cortisol pumping through your system. The way your nervous system reacts is like that. So some people's nervous system reacts with DPDR, other people with nausea, other people with dizziness, other people with palpitations, other people with tingliness, numbness. It varies. It just depends on like how your nervous system responds. For example, one person like favorite color is green. My favorite color might be brown or blue. It just is, right? And some people hate mushrooms, some people love mushrooms. It just depends the way your nervous system is wired and the way your nervous system responds. But I promise you, it is just anxiety. Assuming you got checked, like seen a doctor and they've kind of cleared it as well. Thank you for the rose as well, man or girl. Sorry. Okay, Denisha, my panic attacks switched to extraventricular. Now it's hard to manage anxiety. Okay, Denisha, I know that having that on top of the panic attacks is not easy, right? It makes it harder, but it's not impossible. Because don't you think someone in your position who has venturing out of it, out of the 8 billion people, don't you think a few people that have had your exact issue has gotten out of it? Yes. So even though it's hard, even though it's shit, the best way to respond to this is okay, I'm not going to be a victim. And instead, if I do make it out of this, you're just going to become stronger. And usually, if you're having panic attacks, it's because your nervous system is trying to talk to you. I've met people that have so many chronic health issues. I had chronic health issues. I had colitis, chronic sinusitis. I felt all day, every day, in abdominal pain, constipated, chronic sinusitis. So I literally felt like you can't breathe. Like, has anyone got like a blocked nose before? Imagine having that every moment of the day. Imagine how extra anxious you feel, right? And I made it through that. And I'm very glad I made it through that because it made me as resilient and as educated on this topic as I am right now. So, see this as a test, right? See this as like, okay, I'm not going to let this beat me. Even though it's not my fault, I'm going to take accountability for it. I'm going to take responsibility for it and take one small step. Now, that must mean that could mean you start learning about how to do mindfulness, for example. That could mean you stop Googling your symptoms so much. That could mean you get outside a little bit more. That could mean you don't reduce your screen time, you exercise, you eat a little bit healthier. Whatever it is that you feel you should do, the thing you're afraid to do, try that. Okay, even if it's a baby step to start off with. Okay. Okay, next. Domi, I'm scared that my symptoms are actually something serious. So the way to know if your symptoms are something serious is go see a doctor if you haven't. And if you've seen a doctor and the doctor has said nothing is wrong with you, accept that as a fact, right? Your denial is only going to prolong or extend the period of time it takes for you to actually heal. Because one of the first steps with anxiety that people go through is denial, and then eventually you get to acceptance, right? But if you've seen a doctor, you've had a blood test, you've had all of these things done, it's probably anxiety, right? In fact, not probably, it 99.999% it is anxiety. And if your anxiety is telling you, what if it's at 0.99901%, then literally just ignore it, because as soon as you have some medical evidence, you were fine. It is just anxiety. Now, that doesn't mean like, oh, you're like completely healed. Your nervous system is dysregulated. You need to do the work to heal, right? But every time your symptoms give you an intrusive thought, like, what if it's something serious? Ask yourself this question, which is it true? Well, like, by what I mean, is it true, is like, has it actually happened? So it's kind of like, what if I get into a car crash? Well, am I in a car crash right now? Has a car crash happened? Then it's not true. Then dismiss it. Then it's anxiety. Now, this takes a bit of time, but you have to do this over and over and over again. And I got this from Dr. Daniel Amens. Rewiring automatic negative thoughts is one of the first questions he asks. Okay, now thank you for the gifts as well, Dame. Tucci Gucci has asked, can one require from DPDR? Of course one can. DPDR was one of my symptoms, and for the longest time I didn't even know I had this symptom. Like, I just felt so, like, the way it manifested for me was I didn't really feel like I was here, and I also felt very numb to my emotions. I didn't really feel like I could feel any emotions other than negative emotions. And what's actually funny is people think, actually that's not really a question, so I'll not follow the thought in my head because it's not really a question. So can you recover from DPDR? Absolutely. You can, right? But it takes time, and DPDR is one of those symptoms that tends to go last. So, for example, a few people in my community, Happy Healing, where I would help people, a couple of them have DPDR, and they kind of have DPDR here and there now. It might happen for a minute a day, or a few minutes a day, or like a few minutes every week. And that's okay. DPDR tends to be one of those symptoms that take a little bit of time to go, because it took time for the DPDR to happen. Now, sometimes you have this intense panic attack and then it happens, but kind of the reason you had the intense panic attack was because you never actually knew how to respond to anxiety or stress and your brain just overreacted, right? But yeah, That was a bit of a long answer, but you 100% can. How come you never reply to me talking about the community? I asked why I can't join. So no worries. The moderators accept and reject people from the community. So with full transparency, I literally include in the video who the community is for and who the community is not for. So if the moderators see your application and they like look at your questions, look at your bio, they look at your profile picture, and if it looks like you're not a good fit for the community, they just won't accept you. I'm sorry, like that's just the way the moderators do it, right? But I still make free content if you don't get into the community, right? And a lot of the big reasons is like where you're from in the world because of the time zone for these calls that I do. And then the other thing is just to protect the community because at one point in time, my community, anyone could join it. There was no question. You could just tap and you're in. And the amount of scammers I got, the amount of people trying to sell people in my community products and stuff was just ridiculous. So I had to add some friction to get into the community. And I also get like a lot of DMs. Sorry. All right. Gigi, how come when I move sometimes it feels like I'm going to fall or like I'm going to get a drop feeling? So, right, that seems to be the way anxiety manifests for you. Here's the thing, right? You don't really need to find out the root cause of why the symptom is happening because the answer is it's anxiety, right? That's the way your body feels. That's the way your mind perceives the symptom. A lot of the time, it's not even happening, right? It's your brain actually misinterpreting the sensation. This is why when you go to the doctor, they don't know, like they're like, nothing's wrong with your chest, nothing's wrong with your legs, nothing's wrong with your belly, because it's your brain misinterpreting the sensations. So it's kind of like me telling you, talking in English, but you're understanding Arabic or something, or a language you know how to speak. So that's what's kind of happening with your brain. Because like you're feeling a sensation, normal sensations in your body, but your anxiety perceives it as like a different thing. So it's kind of like people being colorblind. So let's say someone sees red and green as red and green, but someone that's colorblind sees it as something else, like a different color, right? That's what's happening with you whenever you're seeing your body and feeling your body and those symptoms. So it doesn't really matter why it happens, right? It's just the way anxiety in your brain is perceiving. Instead, whenever those sensations happen, go towards those sensations. Really stop, slow down, notice where you feel it in your body, recognize it, allow it to be there, right? And then investigate. So rain is how I teach people how to heal. And if you look at my communities, you can literally see people that are fully healing or close to fully healing just from doing this one thing. And if you want access to rain, by the way, so I'll explain what rain is. So this is how you handle everything, single physical symptom, DPDR, intense emotion, anything. This is how you respond. RAIN. R stands for recognize. Whenever you have the symptom, recognize that it's there. A stands for allow. Allow it to be there. Accept it. Don't try and get rid of it. I is investigate. Be curious about the symptom. Where do you feel it? What does it actually feel like? And N is nurture, where you be compassionate towards it. Now, all of these different letters, you have to learn to do each step with actual mindfulness, meditation, somatic work, etc. And if you want a training on how to do that, that's like literally one of the recordings from my paid community, as well as a guided session so you can actually apply it, which is also from my paid community that I'm giving completely for free. I actually did this recently. Go click the link on my bio and see if you qualify to join the waitlist. But in a nutshell, that's how you handle any sort of symptom. Okay. Why do you feel tingling in your head? I feel like I kind of answered. Why do you feel any symptom? Thank you for the rose, man. Okay, next question. Hey. Okay. Yo, I have a question. What's your question? Queenie, I keep exposing, but it doesn't get any better or easier. I'm going to answer this question because I made a couple of videos like do it scared, do it anxious, and they're one of my most popular videos. And then I get a couple of comments like, oh, I've been doing exposure, it doesn't work. Please listen to me very closely when I say this. Exposure is only one part of the equation, right? So it's kind of like this. let's say I want to go to the gym. Let's say I want to get in good shape. I want to have a healthy body. I go to the gym, I work out every day, but I eat cookies, donuts, takeaways every meal. Am I going to be in shape? No, but I'm exercising. Why am I not in shape? It's because I'm missing part of the equation, which is eating healthy, right? So, exposure is a part of healing because you have to do the things, even if you're scared or anxious, to prove to your brain that you're safe. The other part of it is how you actually respond. Like, are you still afraid of the anxiety symptoms? Do you still run away from them? Do you still resist them? And also, you have to learn how to accept it. You have to learn how to heal it. So it's kind of like learning a new skill. Like for example, the first time you drew anything, you sucked at drawing, but you learned how to hold the pencil, you learned how to color it in, you learned how to draw more shapes, and you learned how to draw better, right? At least when you were a kid. Same with riding a bike. You probably had training wheels first, and then you learned how to ride it without any. So just the same way you can learn a new skill, you have to learn how to accept. So exposure is one part of it, and it's a big part of it, and you should still do the exposure. But you also need to learn how to be mindful. You also need to learn how to actually respond when the anxious thoughts come, when the physical symptoms come, when the DPDR comes. Because if you don't know how to do that, your brain still thinks you're unsafe. Yes, you're brute forcing yourself with the exposure, but if you're missing one part of it, it's not going to work, right? It's kind of like if I'm making omelets, right, and I have the onions and the cheese and the tomatoes, and I have the butter and I have the pan, but I don't have the eggs, I'm not going to be able to make an omelet, right? I hope that makes sense. I'm really I've been getting this a lot, so that's why I kind of worked on that. All right, next question. Uh, a couple of these are statements, but anyone watching the recording can see the statements. Okay. Dash dot. How do you accept that I will never be able to drink or smoke? Right? So, interesting question. So, let me think about this. So, if you are not drinking and smoking for your mental health, and you're having difficulty accept that, then always remind yourself why you're doing it, right? So, for example, I had my anxiety for years, and I had it when I was in college or university, depending on where you are in the world. And one of the things I had to come in terms with, is I had to stop drinking for my gut issues and my mental health, right? Which was a big part of healing for me, to not drink, right? And every time I would remind myself, or feel tempted to drink again or go out that weekend, I would remind myself of why I'm doing this. Because if you have a strong enough why, you can do anything, right? So it's like, okay, I don't want to feel like this anymore. And I would literally remind myself of the symptoms I feel, how I felt last week and how I felt last month, all the things I would do as a result. And all of these things would create emotional responses within me that would remind myself, okay, this is why I'm doing it. So if you're not drinking and smoking anymore, remind yourself why you're not doing it, right? Because realistically, you still can. You can go do it, but you just don't expect to get the result, right? So if the result is more important than the negative habit, then remind yourself of why the hell you're doing it in the first place and tie into that. And know that it's okay to be tempted. It's okay to still have the urges. That's normal. Okay, Gigi, next question. How come I get really bad anxiety when I am in the shower? So it just depends on why your brain feels unsafe in certain situations, right? And oftentimes it's you get a little anxious once in the shower, and then your brain ruminates on it and overthinks it and then manifests that as an issue. And now you associate the shower with anxiety. So you probably got anxiety once in the shower, right? And then your brain has learned that experience and be yep, that's unsafe, not doing it anymore. For example, people with agoraphobia, right? They have a panic attack outside and then they don't go outside anymore. Or they have a panic attack with other people in a social situation and then they don't go to the social situation anymore, right? So if your brain has learned that a shower is unsafe and it gives you anxiety when you're in a shower, it's just trying to protect you, right? Because it thinks you're unsafe. Kind of like if I was a woman, right, and a 3 a.m. alleyway and 10 men are chasing me, I'm unsafe. So I should be anxious, right? Because my brain thinks that's unsafe, and it's okay to think I'm unsafe. But then when you have anxiety, your nervous system is actually dysregulated, so it thinks objective things that are fine, like a car, like a drive, like a social situation, like a party, a plane, traveling. All of these things your brain has learned that is unsafe. So the way to overcome it, instead of focusing on the reason why, is to, heck, exposure. Let me go into the shower. Let me respond, right? Let me teach my brain I'm okay. Even if I'm scared, how can I reassure myself? Now, when I mean reassure yourself, I don't mean go Google the symptom. I don't mean go check your pulse. I don't mean go text someone or call someone. I mean, how can you teach your own brain that you're safe? Harley, does anyone else get a tight chest tightness? Really common symptom. Couple reasons why it happens. A, whenever your nervous system goes into fight or flight, your heartbeat literally increases, right? It's one of the first things that happen. The second thing is whenever you're also anxious, you're not breathing from your belly. You're breathing from your chest, right? You're breathing from your chest, and that can make the muscles quite tight. Jaw pain and neck pain, 100%, right? All of the pain, so for example, Chloe's question, all of the pains that you're getting where you've got a doctor that checked you out and they were like, nothing is wrong with your jaw, nothing is wrong with your neck, all of that is anxiety. Now, specifically jaw pain, because I had TMJ issues, which is like this part of your jaw. That can happen if you're unconsciously grinding your teeth and you also have bad breathing where you're not breathing properly from your belly or your diaphragm and you're just breathing from your chest and your neck. And you have bad posture. All of those things contribute, but it tends to come with anxiety. Thank you for the finger heart. Let me know. Okay. Oh, hi, Claire. Okay. Nathan, how did I overcome DPDR? So to overcome DPDR is pretty much how you overcome every single anxiety symptom, which is you have to change the way you respond. You have to actually allow it. You have to be compassionate towards it. And you have to start doing or stopping the habits that are helping you. Like, for example, you want to reverse engineer what it would take to feel worse, right? So reverse engineer healing. So it's like, okay, if I wanted to be as anxious as I possibly could, what would I do? Well, I would stay inside all day. I would avoid everything and everyone. I would Google my symptoms all day. I would text people for reassurance all day. I would run away and fight the symptoms all day, every day. I would spend as much time ruminating and thinking about the symptoms and being afraid of the symptoms as I can. So we can reverse engineer that with the habits that are going to help you not do that. Okay, so I can delete Google off my phone. I can limit how much anxiety content I watch. Now, I know a lot of you guys watch me. So maybe it means you slow down on how much content you watch, right? Because you don't want to constantly be absorbed in anxiety content, right? And I said that as an anxiety content creator because my main goal is like, okay, make people aware of me. If they're a good fit to join my community, join the community and just stay in that space, right? So, and also what habits are you doing? Am I eating like shit? Am I getting sunlight? Am I exercising? Am I avoiding exposure? So like pick which things you are doing that you feel like you usually know. Most people know like what's the like thing that they're not doing or doing that they really should do or not do, whether it's get good night's sleep or like start fixing your sleep routine, like whatever it is, right? Start with one thing. Just make it really simple for yourself. Pick one thing, make the baby step towards it. If it's sleep and you go to sleep at 3 a.m. and then you have to wake up at 9 a.m. and you're only getting 6 hours when you should really get like 8 or 9, then okay, let me try and go to sleep at 2:30 a.m. or 2 a.m. and just work your way backwards. Okay, Soft and Wet has asked, is it normal that my DPDR is going away, but the symptoms are going one by one, like it's taking time? Yeah, that's completely normal. And it is going to take time to heal. And I know a lot of people like to sell, like, oh, feel better in 2 days. Like, you know, the anxiety that you've had for years. No, I'm not saying that isn't possible, right? I've had people that have had it for a long time and they heal very, very quickly. But the thing is, it's okay for the symptoms to take time because it took time for it to happen. Right? So for example, most people that, you know, became overweight, they didn't become overweight overnight, right? So, you know, it started with, you know, extra cheat meals, skipping the gym once and then a week and then a month. And it started with, you know, takeout here and there and then more takeout and it just built up, right? And then eventually you look in the mirror and you have like, you know, you have like this massive gut, right? And you have man boobs if you're a guy or like whatever, right? And then, so the same way, if you wanted to not become overweight anymore, you're not going to lose the weight overnight. It's going to take consistency in the gym. It's going to take consistently eating healthy again, tracking your calories. The same way it took your symptoms to appear, even though you weren't really. Most people think they had their anxiety for like a week, but that wasn't true. It had been happening for a while. It's just more intense now, so you notice it, right? So the same way it took time for the symptoms to come, because you weren't born like this. You literally weren't. You were triggered into a state of anxiety. It's going to take time for the symptoms to go away. And that's okay. That's okay. Okay. Next. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try to answer these questions in time. You're welcome. How do I deal with heart palpitations? So with heart palpitations specifically, you want to let your heart do that. So you do the RAIN method, you recognize, allow, investigate, notice, and then so feel into the heart. Like, what does it feel like? Don't fight the palpitation. And other things you can do is prove to yourself that your heart is okay, right? So this is going for a run, going for a workout, things that actually get your heart rate up, and then showing your brain that, hey, even though it's scary, I'm okay. Like, I'll be fine. I'm alive. Mm-hmm. Hey, Jazz. All right. Lolo, how to stop overthinking? Well, the first thing you want to do is you don't stop overthinking, because thoughts are just happening to you, right? So you don't really have control over whether you have a thought or not, but you do have control over whether you ruminate in a thought. So the way because I teach meditation specifically for anxiety, and a big part of it is learning how to stay present from thoughts. So you want to change your identification with thoughts, right? So every time you have a thought, you follow it, you identify with it. So if somebody tells me, hey Gabe, I hate your blue hoodie that you're wearing right now, I wouldn't really give too much of a shit, because I'm not wearing a blue hoodie, I'm wearing a brown hoodie, right? But then if somebody says to me, hey Gabe, I hate your TikTok videos, I hate your beard, I hate your nose ring, I hate your black hair, all of these things that I identify with, then I'm more likely to get offended. So at the moment, you identify with every single thought you have, and whenever you have one thought, it leads to the next thought, and the next, and the next, and the next. So the way to actually stay present is detaching your identification with thought by having some sort of meditation practice that teaches you how to handle anxious thoughts. Basic meditations are much more difficult because basic meditations are just really for people that have, like, just want to manage stress a little bit better. You really want to learn how to navigate anxiety and anxious thoughts, even OCD thoughts, right? And the other part is, every time thoughts come, treat it like you're like waves, right? And you're the surfboard. Sometimes the waves are crashing very hard, sometimes they're very gentle. Either way, you surf. And if you surf the waves without resisting it, without trying to solve it, you'll find that you don't drown in them. Mm-hmm. Yep. Best response to fear is no response. Sit with it, let it wash out. Not easy, but the way out. Well said, Ross. Gym helped me so much. Yep. Gym exercise is really, really good. Caroline, thank you for the heart, me. Right? And same with you, Queenie. Thanks, but how do I respond to the fear, Queenie? So, the way you respond to fear is the same way you respond to like any physical symptoms. So the first thing you want to do is recognize that it's happening, right? If you try and fight the fear, you will just feel more afraid. You'll just add another layer of the emotion. So do not try to fight the fear. So when you feel the fear, notice where you feel it. Like, do I feel it in my belly? Do I feel it in my back? Like, where do you actually feel it? And then see if you can let the fear be there, right? And then you want to practice some sort of self-compassion. Like, okay, like what words do I need to hear right now? Like, do I need to see that I'm safe? Like, look around the room and just be like, is anyone trying to hurt me? Even if I feel afraid, like, is anyone trying to kill me or hurt me, or is my worst fear happening right now? And notice, like, oh, am I actually safe? And then this takes time, this takes practice, because you're learning something new, and your natural instinct is to avoid fear, right? But if you do that over and over and over again, you'll get better and a little bit better and a better. And eventually when the fear comes, you'll stop being so afraid of the fear, which is a real problem. Is DPDR common to depression? I don't know. It's because DPDR and depression. Either way, Tamad FY, take action. Instead of figuring the what, just figure out what you can do, right? Andrew, you're so handsome. Thank you. Right. Oh. Okay. Next question. Is that anxiety related? It's gotten better, but still very sensitive to light. Yes, DPDR, for example, has like you're sensitive to sunlight, etc. Did you ever have blood pressure issues with your anxiety? A lot of people ask me this question. Really normal, right? And it's okay. It's okay. The same way if you fix your anxiety, you'll fix your blood pressure. Do you have tips on how to calm yourself properly after a panic attack? Yes. So after the panic attack, right, you want to actually do something that shakes that stress off your body. This is where things like somatic shaking helps, humming helps, tapping helps, anything that lets you shake off the stress. Even taking a walk can help. And also slow breathing. When you're having a panic attack, you're breathing very fast and rapid, so you want to breathe slow. Is it normal to feel like you're going insane? Yeah, that's completely normal. But the very fact that you're questioning if you're going insane is proof that you're not going insane. Thank you for the rose, Jin. Okay. Thank you for the follow as well, Caroline. I'm trying to go in order just so I answer all these questions. Thank you for the roses. 3 roses. Thank you, Caroline. Or 4 or 5. Oh, you're the best. There you go. Okay. Alex, did I overcome stress with medication? I have not touched a single anxiety medication ever. Right? Now, that's not to say that you have to do that. I'm not telling it. If you notice in my videos, I never tell anyone you should take this medication or you should not take that medication. I'm just saying what I did, right? And like I have a video that says anxiety medications that work. And the reason I say that is because even if anxiety medication makes you feel better, right? It's a band-aid. So it's kind of like you have a broken leg and you put a bandage around it instead of putting the bone back into place, right? I say right a lot, I've noticed. Anyway, right? Oh, I said it again. So I didn't, right? Because I wanted to teach my brain naturally to regulate. Can snowy vision go away? Well, if you do the right things to heal anxiety, of course it can go away. If it's an anxiety symptom, that is. Oh, I have so many messages. Okay. Let me try and answer a couple more. How can you regulate your nervous system? So exposure, habits like meditation, exercise, sleep, diet. Third part, mindfulness to change how you respond to anxiety. And the fourth one kind of ties into your habits, but it's your environment, right? Like, are you hanging out with toxic people? Are you in a toxic workplace? Things like that. Your nervous system has to feel safe, which is the core thing. Fatima, did you learn to live with anxiety throughout exposure therapy? Of course, right? Like every year I was living with it, with anxiety, but it's more about like, okay, hey, fighting it doesn't work. Having it stop me doesn't work. But the thing is, you have to prove to yourself that you can do it even if anxiety is there. So I have one of the people I work with called Shane. He's in my pet community. And like, you know, he's still healing. He has DPDR. A lot of you have DPDR on this live. And he's on a baseball team. And, you know, he's very successful on the baseball team. And he said, like, I'm very glad, like, my anxiety was through the roof, but I was still hitting, you know, showing up to practice, doing the games, being successful. Because it proved to him that, hey, I can have anxiety and still be successful. Because one of the most common excuses that are easy is like, oh, I have anxiety. I can't go to work. I can't focus on this goal. I can't focus on this habit. But it's like you can still be successful even with anxiety, because the only person giving you excuses is yourself. And it's so easy to give an excuse with anxiety. Right? It's like, oh, this symptom is here. I feel tired. I feel exhausted. It's so hard. And it's very almost satisfying, even though you might not think it's satisfying, to play the victim, right? Because I played the victim for years. Right? I was like, no one gets it as hard as me. No one has their life as hard as me because of my symptoms and my issues, right? But the real person that's hurting was me because I wasn't choosing to take accountability for my actions. Okay. I will answer a few more and then I will let you guys go. How long is too long to deal with symptoms? Been almost 3 years, I'm tired. Alina, sounds like... No, it's not necessarily about the timeline, right? It's more that like, hey, if you felt no progress and you feel like you were taking action for, let's say, a month, and you felt no progress, not even like 1% progress, then you're doing the wrong things, right? Is it normal for kids to have bad anxiety? Kids have bad anxiety because they inherited the nervous system from their parents, and kids are in an environment where they either had trauma or they see behaviors or their parents are anxious and they learn that behavior. So the same way to men and a woman, right? If they reproduce and they create a child and the child has their genetics, like the dad has curly hair and brown hair and the mother has blue eyes, so the kid has curly hair, blue eyes, whatever, right? Children also inherit kids also inherit their nervous systems, right? So that's part of your genes. Like you inherit your parents' nervous system. So if you have really bad anxiety and your kid has really bad anxiety, it's a sign that like it's because of your genes, pretty much. Not blaming that on you, because your parents probably passed it on to you as well, right? And it's generational trauma, but I'll not get into that. It's a conversation for another topic or another day. But yes, it's not really like, it's not that it's normal, because it's not really normal to have an anxiety disorder. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called a disorder, right? It's normal to have anxiety, the emotion. It's normal to get nervous. It's normal to get like, that's all okay. But to have an anxiety disorder where you think taking a shower makes you anxious, or going on a car makes you anxious, or, just staying in your room and you can get triggered, like, that isn't necessarily normal. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a problem, right? You probably wouldn't be on this live listening to me talk about anxiety if it was, right? But children, if they, observe anxiety, and you don't regulate your nervous system, and you pass that trait on to your children, it makes them more likely to be anxiety. Because all of your children, for like the first 7 years, just learn what you learn. They learn how you react. They learn how you talk to yourself. Your voice literally becomes their inner voice. So if you're not kind to yourself and they see that, guess what they're also going to learn? The same thing. What do you think about drinking alcohol while struggling with anxiety? I think you should stop. Okay? Just plain and simple. Alcohol shrinks your brain, and you can literally just, like, you don't even have to believe me. Just go look at the science of what happens to your brain when you drink. And that should be enough to make you stop. If you don't know, there's literally there's a podcast called Huberman Lab. Someone called Andrew Huberman. He's a scientist from Stanford. And he did like this episode on alcohol. It's one of the most viewed episodes. Go check it out. Right? Maybe that'll help you stop. But you should stop. Like, easiest thing to do is stop hanging out with people where the only thing they do for fun is drink. That's the easiest thing you can do. Because when I was in college or university, all of my friends, all they would do for fun was drink. Right? We wouldn't even hang out for anything else. We would just hang out to go to the bar or go to a club. And when I cut those people off, it was much easier to not drink. I know DPDR is terrifying, but if you change your response to it and you let yourself be scared, over time you start to accept it. All right, I will... I'll answer 3 more questions and then I will go. I'll answer 3 that I think everyone, kind of common questions, have answered. Will I get rid of health anxiety? I'm a boxer. I had to take a year out. Well, if you take the actions your own that are going to help you, then you will get rid of it. It's more whether you take the actions and if you know what actions to take. Alina, how long does it usually take to recover? It depends, right? So, for example, one of the things in my community, in my second community, is I have a 21-day mindfulness course specifically for anxiety. Every single person that completes that course feels better. They may not be fully healed, but they feel better. So if it takes 1 month, I would say, to like genuinely feel a little bit better, right? And then the rest, it just depends on your body, because it's like, how long does, how long would it take for a strawberry plant to grow or to get to this stage? It just takes as long as it takes. Charlie, hi Charlie. I remember texting you earlier on, Charlie. So hi. How fast can you recover? Kind of just answer that question. So it's more about if you take the actions that are going to help you heal, right? So if you take the steps needed to heal, you will get there. Now, it's more about consistency than it is like time. So because you can be very fast and intense, but then fall off, or like fall off when you feel better and then the symptoms come back. I would say, from what I've seen, it depends on the severity of your anxiety and how much the like wiring in your brain is to resist, to fight. Because if you, let's say one person, the only bad habit they have is that they Google. And then you have another person where the bad habits they have is they Google, they research, they don't go outside, they don't do any exposure, they don't do any of this. It's going to probably take that person a little bit longer just because they have more steps that they need to do, right? But the best thing you can do is not give your nervous system a deadline. Like same way food has a use by date, don't give your body a deadline and just let it take as much as it wants to take. How long did it take me to recover? So it took me about 6 months to be 80% healed, right? And that's 6 months of doing the right things, because I went through years of trial and error. But doing the right things, 6 months, I was mostly okay. The last 20% just came from real consistency. Okay, I will answer one more question. Miguel, I'll answer your question as well. I'm in the part where my body just braces, but I'm okay. Yep, your body's still a little anxious. Just teach it to soften, teach it to let go. Okay, do I have any programs you can follow? All right, I will end with this question. So, if anyone on this live like me, and that you want to get access to me, you want to follow what I teach, you want to see real people healing, go join my free community on the bio, right? If you're in the UK, US, Canada, Ireland, or you can speak English really well, right? Just sign up to the community, right? And if you have your own business and if you have like a 9 to 5, sign up as well. And your age between around 22 to 45, right? You're in between that age range. Click the link on the bio. Inside, I have a free call with me. So instead of kind of answering questions on a live, you literally get to be on a one-on-one Zoom session with me, which I usually charge for, but I'm doing this completely for free. And you also get 3-day anxiety reset, which day 1 is you get 3 tools scientifically proven to reset your anxiety in 60 seconds. Second day, you get my paid workshop training on RAIN, which is how to actually respond to anxiety symptoms, DPDR, intense emotions, fear, panic attacks, all of that. And the third day, you have an actual guided session that you can play over and over again, which teaches you how to actually apply it so you learn to do it yourself. And you also get, I post wins in there every day from real people healing from my other community, so that you feel motivated, so that you feel less alone. And I do this live every week, and you get a personal email invitation as well. If that sounds at all interesting to you, and it sounds like a good deal that costs absolutely nothing, then just click the link. It's the first link, put in your details, follow the step, and join the wait list. And if you get accepted, hopefully I see you then, and you book a call. All right. Lovely speaking with all of you guys, and I hopefully, speak to you soon in my community. All right.